Hi students, once again we are meeting to discuss about the lesson Applications of Biotechnology. So far we have studied different applications. Now the sixth application, that is, what are the biological products produced through this technology? What are the uses of these biological products? So what do you mean by a biological product? So any substance that is derived from a living system, any substance that is derived from a living system is called as a biological product. What is its use? It is used for the treatment of disease and to prevent the disease. That's its use, main use. Now we have a number of biological products. These products include, for example, antitoxins. They are nothing but a type of antibody. Then we have, for example, bacterial and viral vaccines. We have produced a number of vaccines today against, for example, smallpox, chickenpox, or we have tuberculosis bacterium, etc. That's the second one. And also the blood products. There are different types of proteins, different types of cells, the blood cells, all these things. And also we have the hormone extracts. The production of human growth hormone, insulin hormone, these are all the different hormones we can produce. Now these products, the biological products, are produced mainly through biotechnology in a living system, not a non-living system, in a living system. What are the living systems normally used for the production of such biological products? So the living system may be in the form of microorganisms like bacteria or fungus, or in the form of a plant cell, or in the form of animal cell. So these are the living systems which are being used for the synthesis of various biological products through biotechnology. So that's about one. Now if you are taking these biological products are more often difficult to characterize. Then we have small molecule drugs. We can characterize small molecule drugs, but when we produce these substances, we cannot characterize these things because they're all actually minute, or you see in the form of micrograms. So they're more often difficult to characterize than what we have small molecule drugs. Now let's go further. How are these products are produced? So it is possible to produce what we have the different types of biological products through what we have the recombinant DNA technology when there is a need or on demand. So only possible method of production of such products are DNA technology. Now we have various types of biological products which are approved for use. Say an example of therapeutic proteins. The proteins which are used for medicinal uses, they are called therapeutic proteins. So when the protein encoding gene is expressed in what is called a heterogeneous parent, it is called therapeutic protein. Heterogeneous parent means parent other than what we have the original parent. So when the protein encoding gene is expressed in a heterogeneous parent other than the parent, what we are using, for example, the E. coli bacterium or animal cells or plant cells, then such proteins are called therapeutic protein, they are of medicinal value. Then we have what is called monoclonal antibodies. What are monoclonal antibodies? The monoclonal antibodies were first synthesized. Monoclonal antibodies are first synthesized by Kohler and Milstein. So by using what's called hybridoma technology. So while producing monoclonal antibodies, they are incubating or culturing cancer cells along with B lymphocytes. Cancer cells have the ability of multiplying fastly. B lymphocytes are concerned with the production of antibodies. So by incubating the two cells in a medium, that's a cancer cells and B lymphocytes, we are getting a hybrid cell. That cell is having the properties of rapid multiplication, just like the cancer cells, and also capable of producing antibodies. So we can produce large number of antibodies at the same time. That is called monoclonal antibodies. Antibodies of same type which will attack against the same antigen. Even if you have thousands of antibodies in that clone, all the antibodies are attacking the same antigen. They are prepared only for attacking a particular antigen, all the antibodies. Such antibodies are called monoclonal antibodies. The technology used is called hybridoma technology. That was developed by Cullen and Milstein. So antibodies and vaccines, you know that one. So these are all the different products which are approved for use by what we have the government. Then we have healthcare and pharmaceutical industries. And these two are normally revolutionized. How? By the biotechnological proteins. An industry what is called proteomics. Proteomics concerned with the production of what is called the proteins of different types, the medicinal values. That is called proteomics. Industrial production of proteins. That is called the field proteomics. The study of proteins, their occurrence, the genes encoding, then how to synthesize such proteins. All these things together called proteomics. So through proteomics, a number of proteins have been produced. So healthcare and pharmaceutical industries have been revolutionized by what we have biotechnological proteins. Revolutionized by biotechnological proteins. That is nothing but the therapeutic proteins. Okay, that's about one. Now we have hormones and antibodies are produced by different agencies commercially. That one is primarily for the medical industry. They are producing antibodies and hormones for commercial purpose and particularly for medical industry of different types. Then we have today available the recombinant hormones. For example, insulin, human growth hormone. We have recombinant vaccines available. And also we have recombinant proteins, the therapeutic proteins. All are available today for treatment. So there is the different products which have been developed by means of recombinant DNA technology in the form of insulin hormone, growth hormone, and also we have the proteins of medicinal value and also vaccines. Okay, that's about what we have, the products obtained, how are they being used for different purposes. For the production of specific desirable proteins, the animals are used as bioreactors. For example, you know the antibodies. Antibodies are substances that fight against or work against or acting against the disease-causing antigens. Now these antigens can be produced by transgenic animals which are acting as bioreactors. So anyway, normally the antibodies which are working against antigens, the proteins, actually that what we call the antibodies are the proteins, they are being produced by transgenic animals and those animals are acting as bioreactors. The next one, I mentioned about the monoclonal antibodies. What's the use of these monoclonal antibodies? So all the antibodies in a clone are fighting against, what we have, a specific antigen. Now these monoclonal antibodies are used to treat cancer, heart disease, and also in transplant rejection. So while doing the transplantation process, either for heart transplantation or for any other organs like kidney, rejection occurs. That is called allograft rejection. The rejection can be minimized with the help of what is called the monoclonal antibodies. So the monoclonal antibodies are working against antigens, preventing the rejection of what is called the transplant during transplantation process. Then another biological product, what we have the natural adhesive proteins. The proteins which are used as what we have adhesives, used for attachment. They are nothing but the paste molecules. So the natural adhesive proteins, what are the properties of these molecules? They are not toxic, biodegradable easily, and rarely triggers the immune system. The immune system is not triggered when you are using that what is called the adhesive protein. What for? We are using this what is called the paste proteins or adhesive proteins for the attachment of the ligaments, the one which is torn, to the tissues. Or we can use this what we call the adhesive proteins to fill the cavities in the teeth. Or we can use that one also for repair the broken bones. So the broken bones are also being pasted, or what are called just using that protein. One, the natural adhesive proteins. This is also produced by means of technology, the biotechnology that is used for attachment. That's reattachment of the torn ligaments with the tissues, fill the cavity of the teeth, and also the broken bones, all being reattached. And these are all about what we call the various biological products and their uses, what we are getting through recombinant DNA technology with the help of transgenic animals. Now we have to pass on to the next one, that is animal cloning. Okay. Now in the applications of biotechnology, the next one we have to pass on is animal cloning. That's the sixth one, animal cloning, heading number 6. What is cloning? So just simply we can say identical copies. That's called as a clone. A clone contains identical copies. Either the cells, or we have the organism, or we have the DNA fragments. Okay, that's what's called simply cloning. So cloning is a process of producing genetically identical individuals. All the individuals produced by a clone are genetically identical, same genotype of an organism. They are produced either by natural method or by means of artificial method. Normally in nature, many animals in nature produce what we call the clones, mainly through asexual reproduction. We can say just either the animals or simply the organisms. So many organisms in nature, because mostly the plants are producing, that's a clones by asexual method. So I am using the common wood organisms. So many organisms in nature, either the plant or the animal body. So many organisms in nature produce clones. The method of clone production in nature is by means of asexual reproduction. So only by asexual reproduction we have produced a number of cells, mostly in plants. All the cells are identical genetically. Such a genetically identical cells together constitute a clone. Now normally you know, what's the definition for cloning in biotechnology? So this is a normal definition, genetically identical individuals production. So in biotechnology, cloning refers to just normally creating copies, identical copies of either the organism. Then it's called organism cloning. Or we have the cells, copies of cells, identical cells. That is called cell cloning. Or we can produce identical copies of DNA through recombinant DNA technology. That is called gene cloning or molecular cloning. Production of identical copies of DNA through genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology is called molecular cloning. So we can produce actually identical copies of organisms or identical copies of cells, even the organ also. Nowadays it's possible to produce exact structure of a heart similar to a person if he lost his heart efficiency. So production of identical copies of DNA through rDNA technology is called gene cloning or molecular cloning. Okay, that's about it. Now we have to go for the discovery and then the mechanism. Dolly, the transgenic animal or mammal, that's a sheep, a cloned animal. That was developed by two persons. Number one, Jan Wilmot and then Campbell in 1997. So normally they developed a Dolly, the transgenic animal, by using a technique, what is called nuclear transfer technique or nuclear transplantation technique. I will explain later now. And also following the phenomenon of totipotency. So totipotency is now referring to a single cell. They are differentiated into cells or tissues or organs and finally the entire organism. The development of the whole organism from a single cell by differentiation is called what is known as totipotency. We have discussed already the types of what is called the stem cells. So now we are following two techniques together. One, the phenomenon of totipotency and a nuclear transplantation technique or nuclear transfer technique. This is a technique adapted. What is nuclear transfer technique? And just to explain in a simple way with a diagram. The technique behind cloning mechanism is nuclear transplantation technique or nuclear transfer technique. It was developed in 1950s by two embryologists, one R. Briggs, another one T. King. These were not there in your book. Okay, R. Briggs and T. King. They developed the technique, nuclear transplantation technique, and that was adapted in 1997 by Ian Wilmot and Campbell. Now, what mechanism? A diploid cell from the adult to somatic cell obtained. Then an egg cell having haploid nucleus is now received from a donor. That's a female donor. So it is also a female donor. So both are female. Here the somatic cell is obtained from the female donor and the egg cell is obtained from the female donor. Now the somatic cell normally contains diploid nucleus and that one contains haploid nucleus. Now the next process, removal of nucleus, that is called enucleation process. In both what we have, the somatic cell and egg cell, the nucleus were removed. So now we have the nucleus outside. This is a diploid nucleus, 2n nucleus of the somatic cell. Now this is the eunucleated egg without what is called actually haploid nucleus. What is the reason? Now the somatic cell cannot give rise to an organism because it's a somatic cell, though it contains full complement of chromosomes, namely diploid. The egg cell cannot give rise to the entire organism, though it is a sex cell, because it contains only haploid nucleus. So we need both the cytoplasm of the egg, because the cytoplasm of the egg contains factors for development. So we need the cytoplasm of the egg and we need the diploid nucleus. So the diploid nucleus is provided by the somatic cell and what we call the egg cytoplasm is provided by the egg. Now fusion of the nucleus or injection of this diploid nucleus into the eunucleated egg. So that what we are getting a diploid cell having 2n nucleus from the somatic cell and the cytoplasm from the egg. So both the factors are available. That's the factors in the cytoplasm for development, as well as we need full complement of chromosomes 2n. Now it develops into an entire organism. That is what's called totipotency. A single cell develops into a diploid organism. So one somatic cell, one egg cell normally used. The somatic cell we are getting only the nucleus. The egg cell we are getting only what is called the cytoplasm containing the factors. And while we are just fusing these two, that is a nucleus and the eunucleated egg, then we are getting a diploid cell having full complement of chromosomes. Now it has the ability, what is called totipotent ability of developing to the entire organism. This is called nuclear transplantation technique, the transfer of nucleus into the enucleated egg cell. That phenomenon is called transplantation or transfer. Now I will go to the mechanism. Some few statements as given in the book, a paragraph. What are the steps involved in cloning? I mentioned already we need two cells, a diploid somatic cell, another one a haploid egg cell. Now where you have to get the diploid somatic cell? The somatic cell with the diploid nucleus has been removed from the mammary gland udder cells. The another name for the mammary gland of what is called the animal's udder. So we are getting actually the mammary gland udder cells. They are called the somatic cells, the body cells with a diploid number of chromosomes. That is from what is called the female animal. That's a mention about Eve. That refers to the female, not from the male. We have so udder is present only in the case of female. So you remove what is called actually the somatic cell with the diploid number from what is called the donor sheath. And the separated cell, the somatic cell was subjected to starvation for about 5 days to free from other what is called activities, starvation. Now the next one, the mammary gland udder cells could not grow, could not produce what's called the normal growth cycles because they're all not, they're under what we have the dormant conditions for some time subjected to what is called, we have starvation So they could not undergo normal growth cycle. They entered into a dormant stage, inactive stage, and became totipotent, having the ability of giving rise to the whole organism only after the nucleus has been transferred. I mentioned already we need another cell, what is called the egg cell. Now an egg or ovum was taken from another female individual, the sheep, that is egg, and its nucleus was removed by a process of enucleation. So that now we are getting what is called enucleated egg cell. Egg cell is present in the cytoplasm without nucleus. So the previous one, what were the somatic cell that provides a diploid nucleus. Now the egg where the nucleus has been removed provides a cytoplasm with the factors for further development. Now what is the next stage? Now the enucleated egg is fused with the somatic cell with the diploid number of chromosomes. Now the membrane of the diploid cell was ruptured, allowing what is called, that is the egg, to envelop the nucleus. For intake of nucleus, we have to rupture the wall, that is what is the membrane of the somatic cell, allowing the egg cell to envelop the nucleus. Now the nucleus has been taken. Now it results in the restoration of diploid condition. Now egg cell with the diploid nucleus obtained from the somatic cell. Okay, this is the next step. And write down on the bottom. We have the somatic cells from an under of Eve, and also we have enucleated egg cell without nucleus. Now the next step you have, the enucleated egg cell was fused with the mammary gland cells diploid. Now with the membrane is there. So the membrane of the mammary gland cell was ruptured, allowing the egg to envelop the nucleus. There is nothing but allowing only the nucleus, removing the cytoplasm. So we need only the diploid nucleus from the somatic cell. For that we are rupturing what we have, the membrane of the somatic cell, allowing the nucleus to be enveloped by what we have, that is the egg. Now what we have to do? Now we have the egg with the diploid nucleus. It was implanted in another sheep, different from these two sheeps, where we obtained the somatic cell and the egg cell. We are using another sheep, which is considered as a surrogate mother. You know the meaning of surrogate mother? A mother who was normally working to carry an individual for another person for rent. So we have the surrogate mother. We are implanting, that is what is called the diploid cell, that is after attaining the diploid condition, in the uterus of what is called the surrogate mother. Now what will happen? The development occurred. After 5 months we have received the young one, the lamb, what is called the dolly. Now the dolly was to be cloned from differentiated somatic cell. Differentiated somatic cell means there is a nucleus actually incorporated with the egg cell, which is acting as a totipotent cell, which undergoes what is called the differentiation to produce the different types of cells. So from differentiated somatic cells from the zygote, from an adult without fertilization process, no fertilization here, there is no involvement of both male and female sex cells, one somatic cell, one egg cell involved, and that too from the somatic cell only the diploid nucleus alone taken. So that results in what we have a diploid individual. This diploid individual is resembling what we have the donor who provided the nucleus, because it is a chromosome which decides the external phenotypic characters. So the cloned dolly resemble the individual from whom the nucleus was taken, because the nucleus contained the chromosomes which have the genes which decide the characters, and not actually the donor who donated only the egg cytoplasm. This is, you have to remember that one. It resemble only the donor who donated the diploid nucleus, and not the donor who donated what is called the haploid. We cannot say haploid, that's enucleated egg. Okay, this is, you have to just understand that one. Now I will just represent the diagram as given in the book. That's the last part of what is called animal cloning, the mechanism. Then you have to go for advantages and disadvantages afterwards. Now I will represent the diagram diagrammatic representation of the various steps of cloning. And this is the diagram that shows the mechanism of cloning of Dolly. I mentioned already we need two cells. One, a diploid cell, that is from one sheep, a donor, Eve, adult cell, the somatic cell or the mammary gland cell, otherwise called, is taken. Now, the diploid nucleus is there in that cell. The next one from sheep B, another Eve. From that one the egg has been isolated. Now, the egg cell contains N nucleus, that is haploid nucleus. Now you have to remove the nucleus and making it enucleated. Now this is a enucleated egg. Now this enucleated egg was fused with what we call the diploid somatic cell. And then at that time what would happen, this membrane is being ruptured, allowing what is called the egg cell to take the nucleus. Now this is the diploid cell with egg cytoplasm and diploid nucleus. Now it is being cultured in a oviduct tissue, because the medium we have to provide where we have the passing on, the various stages of embryogeny take place. That's why we are just taking the oviduct tissue from the goat, and in that tissue only we are culturing what we have, just the diploid cell with the diploid nucleus and with the egg cytoplasm. This is the medium we are providing, environment. Now from that one we are getting what is called the blastocyst. The blastula in the case of mammals is called blastocyst. Now just actually you have to implant the 6-day-old embryo in surrogate mother. The one who bears just what we call the embryo on behalf of another individual. That individual is called surrogate. Now sheep surrogate mother actually is being implanted in the sheep, the Eve, which is acting as a surrogate mother. That is implant 6-day-old embryo in surrogate mother. Now from that one the Dolly was born. The Dolly resembled what we call the sheep E, because it is the one which provided the nucleus of the chromosomes and not the sheep B. That is actually we have the inference from that one. Instead of drawing the sheep diagram, because it is impossible, I am representing sheep A and sheep B. Okay, you can also represent the same manner. Here also you see that one in the book it is represent the surrogate mother. It's not possible, so you represent simply the box, writing the name, the sheep, in surrogate mother. From that only we have Dolly. So we are implanting the blastocyst in the uterus of this mother only, the surrogate mother. So try to draw this diagram in this way, in a simple way, not necessary to draw what is called the entire sheep animal. Okay, with this I conclude about the cloning mechanism. We have just what that is related to the cloning, advantages and disadvantages, and some ethical issues. Okay, we'll complete in the next class. Till then, goodbye.